Former Young Guitarist of the Year, and now a full-fledged blues rock virtuoso, Simon Mcbride grew up in Ireland influenced by Rory, Gallagher and Gary Moore. At the age of 16, he joined Irish metal band Sweet Savage and toured and recorded a couple of albums with them. A few years later, he joined fellow Irishman Andrew Strong, playing soul, R&B and pop songs. Simon's talent as a songwriter guitar player came to the fore with his solo work, starting with his first album Rich Man Falling in 2008 to his second album Since Then in 2010, which saw him nominated for the British Blues Awards. 2011 saw him release his third album 9 Lives and 2012 his fourth, titled Crossing the Line. Simon has also toured the UK and Ireland with the likes of Jeff Beck, Joe Bonamassa and Derek Trucks. In autumn of 2010, he toured the UK supporting one of his early guitar heroes, Joe Satriani, and then playing the Glastonbury Festival in 2011. He also had a guest spot at Airey's Soul and Blues Festival in 2011 and 2013. A short stint as a guitar player for Ian Gillan with his project Ian Gillan Sings Deep Purple followed, and post that he joined the classic rock band Snakecharmer. Simon has continued to make a name for himself over the past decade. His latest release, The Fighter, came out in February of this year, just before he embarks on a 13-day UK and Irish tour. I caught up with Simon from his home in Ireland to talk about his career, the new single, the upcoming EP and album. We also discussed his songwriting process, his musical influences growing up, and some tales from the road from his time with Ian Gillan and Joe Satriani. Last time I saw you, I was shooting at Rambling Man, and I think you were playing with Snakecharmer.
Oh yes, that's right. I was. Yeah, that gig was a bit of a blur because I literally flew in that morning and flew out straight after the gig. Literally in
Yeah.
gig home. Yeah, that's right. Yeah,
That was like 2017 or 20, I think it was 2017.
you could be right, man. It's been the last 2-3 years just all
Has been
just
a
kind of
blur.
yeah, and just it's been actually flown in a lot. It's just been really. I think back to things like even when I did the Ian Gillan stuff, and I'm looking at going, that was 2016. It was 8 years ago. And I'm going, no, 6 years ago. I'm going,
Yeah.
what did those 6 years go? It's mad. It's been a mad time. Like,
Yeah, and it's going to be 2.5 years of COVID and whatnot. So you have a tour coming up. Are you excited to be back out on the road?
yeah, I'm very excited to be back out. It's been too long. It's been great, hanging out at home and stuff like that. But, enough is enough. I need to get
Yeah.
out again. Um, yeah, it's good to get out and play. We've done a few shows at the end of last year. Nothing really too massive. We did a festival and stuff like that, and um, which was good. It was good to play. It was hard.
Mm-hmm.
Because it just simple things. After 2 years, you don't actually realize how you forget the simple things. It's not the playing and not that. It's just like even interaction with audiences and stuff like that. It's like, how do I do this again? So it'd be good to get out and just get into that comfortable zone again and just do what I do, because at the end of the
Yeah.
day, this is what I set out to do, all those years ago. I didn't set out to sit here and play guitar in my lovely little studio, even though it is lovely,
Yeah.
but
It's
it's just
beautiful. Yeah. It's a beautiful
yeah, well,
studio.
it's a bit messy at the minute, stuff flying everywhere, but it's it's this has been my home for the last 2 years, but
Mm-hmm.
yeah, it's time now to get out and play, and so
Yeah.
yeah, that's in the UK in March. Flip me, that's only a couple of weeks ago.
And this is a 2 week run that you're doing?
Yeah, roughly 2 weeks, 10 days to 14 days. So, um, yeah, there's a few shows in Ireland. I think there's four in total, and then there's about 7 or 8 in the UK. I
Mm-hmm.
think so. Yeah, it will be fun. Just playing all over England. It's hard to get shows. Because everything's so backlogged, if you know what I mean, from before COVID. So there's every band wants to get out and play. There's not enough venues for so ideally I would have liked to done a few more shows around England, but it is what it is. I'll just take it. um it's funny. This tour was kind of hit and miss,
Mm-hmm.
whether it was going to happen or not, because of COVID restrictions and stuff. And it was little, it was kind of getting a bit worried, because if somebody got sick or whatever, that means the tour's
Yeah.
off. And
Yeah.
it's like, okay. So, but I had a long chat with a record company and stuff, and we decided to just go ahead and do it. It will be well. I think the regulations are changing anyway at the end of February in regards to isolation and stuff like that.
Yep.
So, uh, yeah, but it's going to be great. I'm looking forward to it. I'm like a big kid to get out on the road again. It's like,
Yeah.
yay!
I think everybody's just waiting to get out the gate, right? Everybody's been at home for 2 years. And I
Mhm.
think it's the same for the people. I think it's good that people are coming to the shows and, supporting the artists, buying tickets and coming to shows and stuff like that.
Yeah, I think people are still a little bit nervous
Mm-hmm.
in regards to going to the shows. I think especially with buying pre-tickets, pre-ticket sales. There's a lot of people I know who are just leaving it till the last minute because if they go buy a ticket, 2 months in advance, and then they get COVID, and then they can't go, and it's like all that kind of stuff. So, uh, but it's great. I've seen a few shows that are selling out and stuff. So it's good that people are getting back out there. At the end of the day, we're all just people. We're social people. We need everybody
Absolutely.
to socialize and get out. That's just the nature of being a human being, I
Yeah.
suppose.
Yeah. And what's the lineup that you're going to be touring with?
It's the lineup I've used for a while. I have a guy called Dave Marks on bass. Dave's a great musician all around. He helped me produce my new album and did a lot of engineering and stuff for it. So Dave's on bass and back on vocals and stuff, and then I have a drummer called Marty McCluskey from they're both from Belfast. So Marty's a great drummer. He's played with me for years. I've used various drummers over the years, just depending on the circumstance. But Marty, I like to use all the time. It's a comfortability thing with Marty and Dave. You know, saying that they're both really really good musicians. Dave's like played with Robert Plant and Hans Zimmer and lots of
Nice.
people. So uh, they're very very good. So it's just and that's it. It's just the three of us, just a trio. A power trio as they call it or whatever people want to call it. So yeah,
Yeah.
it works.
Fabulous. And you have a new single that just came out.
Yes, I had a single come out there called "The Fighter."
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's going to be on the new record. I have another single coming out end of February. Um, can't remember the exact date, but I mean, the record company sent me dates, and I go, okay, whatever, you know. Uh, but yeah, that song is yeah, I'm very proud of that song. It's you know, I wrote to be honest, I wrote that song about 4 or 5 years ago,
Mm-hmm.
um, with a couple of guys, and it's been sitting there ready to go for about 2 3 years. It's bizarre, it's everybody sees it as a new thing. I see it as an old thing because I've already halfway through album number two. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? So it's just like it's bizarre, but yeah, no, it's a good song. I like it. It's got kind of like catchy riffs and catchy vocal melodies and stuff, which is what I try to do in
Mm-hmm.
most of my.
What sort of inspired the song?
Um, well, lyrically, it's basically it's just fighting for what you want to be or what you want to do, just never give up, sort of thing, on whatever it may be in life, maybe whether it's work or music, or you just got to keep fighting until the end, till you get there. Initially, when we wrote this song, we had the vision of Conor McGregor walking into the
Yeah.
the boxing ring and this playing behind him. That was our vision, and that's kind of spawned the idea for the song. But it kind of turned into this kind of thing. It can be whatever you want it to be. Like the video is, if the the swimmer guy with only one leg and stuff, and but he's fighting to try and
Yeah.
do what he does, and that's what it's about. That's the essence of the song. Really, it's just fighting for what you want. If you want something,
Hmm.
just go get it. Um, because that's life. If you want things in life, people, you gotta go take it with both hands and fight for it. Because yeah. So that's kind of the vibe of the song, really. So
Yeah, it's a great song. And you have an EP that comes out in March?
I think so. Yeah, no, I'm not sure. Yeah, I think there is. I'm not sure. The timings have changed of the releases of the album due to, again, the lovely COVID of production and stuff like that. So my album won't be out until the end of May, uh, but there's another single I think coming out in April. So I'm not sure. I don't think it's going to be an EP in March. I think it will be. Okay, maybe I could be wrong. I just I need a manager. Just like somebody to organize me, organize my brain. So yeah, but there's definitely a single coming out. I know that. Another one coming out end of February, and then there's one. If it's not March, it'll be April time. But yeah, yeah. Well, I have a few EPs out already, but the thing with the EPs, they were never actually supposed to be for release.
Hmm.
You know, we just they were kind of a more of a promo thing, and because there's a song from the album on each EP that we did. We had Trouble, we had Show Me How to Love, and we had 100 Days and stuff like that. And then there was like two covers generally I put on, and a live track. So they were just kind of like promo, and but myself and the record company, we just had a chat, and we just we'd said, well, why not just stick them out anyway? Nothing else is happening over COVID, so let's just put them out. So yeah, they were fun to do, especially the cover part of it, because
Yeah.
I'm very fussy when it comes to covers. I don't want to do a cover that is that I can't do it justice, if you know what I mean, in a good way. I'm just like, I always feel if you're going to do a cover song, do your own thing with it, but because I'm never going to recreate the sound of the original.
Correct.
I'm just like, well, I ain't going to do better than that. So let
Yeah.
me just do something different. And sometimes you can do something different with the song, and sometimes you just can't. Like we ended up with about 8 or 10 cover songs, and but we narrowed that down from about uh must be 20 or 30, which we tried different things with, and but nothing really was kind of working in a way.
Hmm.
It was just kind of like, yeah, that's okay. No, so but we got the 8 or 9 or 10. So that's what I'm saying. I'm fussy because
Yeah.
it's when you're doing cover songs, and you're dealing like for example, like Brian Adams, and we did the Kids Wanna Rock. Brian's an amazing singer. I'm nowhere near as in that level when it comes to singing, and as like Brian Adams is. So I was like, okay, how do I make this sound good for me?
Absolutely. Yeah.
So for that one, we kind of just went with it, and just kind of think, okay, what else? Let's make this kind of Foo Fighter esque, a little bit. So, and that's what we did. So, but they turned out pretty well, the covers. So they did. So, um, yeah. So yeah, but they're out there.
Yeah, that's the thing with covers, right? It's a fine line. You want to take it and put your own stamp on it, and somewhere I think you also don't want to make the original unrecognizable. So I think it's a fine line.
Yeah, it is. It is. It's you kind of have to stick to the original a little bit, and then you know, put your own twist on it just to make it different enough. I don't understand the band. I don't understand bands that go out and do direct covers of songs. Big bands. I don't mean like cover bands. That's what they do. But big bands, it's like, well, if I want to go and listen to the original, I'll go listen to the original. I want to hear something your twist on it. Which is more inspiring for me.
Yeah. But talking about sound, do you sort of like to experiment with your sound, or are you more comfortable with just slotting your music into a specific genre or a style?
To be honest, I've spent so many years with different being put into different categories.
Yeah.
Whether a long time ago when I was a kid, I was categorized as this heavy metal young guitar player, and then I was put in the blues phase, and then I was put in the blues rock phase, and I was just kind of going. Now I just don't really care. I just do whatever I want to do, and it just so happens like my I grew up in the '80s, so I'm an '80s child, so I just like anything like all the hard rock, like Motley Crue, and all the
Yeah.
guitar sounds and stuff from that, and but I do like different, all the bluesier side of things as well. So I just try to, just fuse a lot of that sort of stuff together and just try to be myself. Because I think if you try to put yourself into one category, it never really happens. You just have to pull whatever's in here or in here, just pull it out of you, and
Yeah.
that's how you become your own kind of individual artist. So I'm totally, I'm the most open book you'll ever find when it comes to sounds and stuff like that. I'm willing to do anything. um I do find like there's some of the sounds on the guitar or on the EPs and stuff, or even on the album, I would never have used before, but it was only like the engineer said, why don't you try this and this, and I was like, okay, whatever.
Yeah.
If it
Yeah.
works, it works. So my attitude is, I'm all about the song and what suits the song. And if it works for that, then that keeps me happy.
Nice. But tell me, Simon, being a guitar player primarily, how important is songwriting to you?
It's very important. To be honest, that was a big thing I started to focus on about, uh, I don't know, 7, 8 years ago. Um, because I'd done a few albums before that, and they were primarily more guitar orientated. The
Yeah.
guitar came first, and the songs were kind of led s- second. That's saying that some of the songs were very good, but you could always tell it was guitar driven. It was just the guitar was the forefront. So a lot of these songs, like "Show Me How to Love" and "Trouble" and "100 Days," I decided to get together with a friend of mine who's a singer songwriter and doesn't really care about the guitar parts. He's like, it's all about the song. This focus on the song, not the guitar. Um, so, and that's what I wanted. I wanted to sit and write with a songwriter who thought like that. Because I can write guitar parts till you know very easy for a song. If you have the song, then things just come to it. So the idea for me was to try this angle of, okay, let's try working with a songwriter who's not really into guitar stuff, but see what we come up with, and then I'll put the guitar parts to it.
Yeah.
And that's really what happened, because you can tell with the tracks like "Show Me How to Love" and stuff like that. It's basically the it has this big hooky chorus and stuff, and you can tell it's not really a guitar player that's written that. It's a combination of two guys. So and then, but at the start you can hear his little guitar parts, and I was just like, okay, well that works over that. So um the song is, it's the most important thing when it comes to any
Yeah.
music, I find,
Yeah.
because you look at the Beatles, right? Whether you like the Beatles or don't like the Beatles, I always you gotta give them respect for it. They tried many different things, many different styles, many different genres, but nearly every song that they wrote was amazing, right? So it's like,
Correct.
that's why the Beatles were so popular songs. And that's it. And I
Yeah.
go, well, and that follows through history of different bands. The Rolling Stones, great songs. Like the list goes on.
Yeah.
Um, and that's what it's all about. People don't remember the guitar solo; they remember the song.
Yeah.
Because I look at it from the point of view. A lot of people who listen to music, they're not guitarists really, right? So they're not
Correct.
listening to every, like, oh, he's playing legato or he's playing pick, and they don't hear any of that stuff. They don't really understand it, so they just hear a song. Because it's like me going to a plumber and a plumber telling me all about these pipes and these things, and I'm going, I have no idea what you're talking about. You could be speaking French for me. I don't know. So, but so it's the same thing I think with music. You got to appeal to just normal general people because that's who buy music and that's who love music and listen to it every day. So,
Yeah.
uh, so
Because
yeah.
that's something I was thinking about, right? Being a guitar player, is there, do you run the risk of sort of just, shredding through a song and just, not focusing as much on the songwriting? Having said that, what is your writing process? Does the riff come first? Does the inspiration for a song come first?
It depends. Inspiration is one of those unpredictable things. It can come from anywhere. Um, Sometimes you get a guitar riff, and you just that spawns the idea of a song, or you can come up with a vocal lyric or something. And you go, oh, that would be a cool thing to write about, and or like for example, I have a new song which will be out on next year, probably the second album. And I had the idea for I don't know, I was watching some thing about kind of daredevil, speed freaks, basically, guys driving really fast,
Yeah.
and that spawned the idea for a song. And the song is like this fast, up tempo track, and so things like that, or a guitar riff, or it could be anything. It could be like you could get a new guitar pedal or something, and you plug it in and go, you just immediately play something, you go, oh, that's a good song. That's a good idea, right? And then that gets the juices rolling, and you start trying different things. But sometimes it's a weird thing. Like I have a track on my new album called "Don't Dare," right? And it was this guitar riff which I wrote. I'm honestly going to say about 15 years ago. I wrote this guitar riff. I had no clue what to do with it afterwards. So I had this guitar riff just sitting there. It's a great riff. I really liked it. And I just could never, ever figure out what the hell to do with it. I was just like, yes, no, nothing. But what happened was I gave it to the songwriter dude that I work with sometimes. The guy doesn't really play guitar at all. And it was a case of, he says, oh, yeah, I know what to do. We'll do this. And I was like, oh, thank you, thank you. It just turned this thing into a song. And then I was like, brilliant, I get to use that. So, yeah. So anybody's writing guitar riffs or anything, and you can't get a song out of it, just keep it. Someday it will
It'll
happen.
happen. Yeah.
It'll happen someday. But yeah, inspiration comes from anywhere and everywhere. So it's you just never know. It's hard to.
Yeah. But Simon, how obsessed are you with the whole production part of it and attention to detail when it comes to production? Because again, there I think there's a balance between producing something that's organic and sort of cutting and pasting to try and make the song as perfect as possible. So how obsessed are you with the whole production side of things?
The production side of things, basically, I'm going to say yes and no. I am obsessed and I'm not obsessed. Sometimes with my own stuff,
Yeah.
I generally like to avoid the production side of it because you spend so much time writing it, and when you're recording it, and you know, I just you can be too close to something. You can get too
Exactly.
involved, too close. You have too opinionated, too much going on there, and you can end up overproducing it, end up not having the right vision for it. So sometimes it's better to have outside, um, outside opinions coming in. Like the few records I did a long time ago, uh, I basically I did everything myself, engineered it, recorded, produced it. Was I ever happy with them? No. And that's a sign that I should have stepped away and let somebody come in and produce it. But I didn't have the budget or whatever a long time ago. So it's not. I really love the production angle of stuff, and I loved getting in there and just doing, on something else, like an external project that's not mine. I love to sit and go, why don't we do this or try that and do this? But sometimes, and this is going to sound bad, when you've wrote a song and you're in the studio and you're recording it and you're doing vocal takes and you're doing guitar takes, the last thing I want to do is sit around there in the mix and listen to
Yeah.
it again. Going, not again. I have to listen to this because you end up hating it if you spend too much time with it. So it's better to just have that thing where you just step away and you just basically um, let somebody else take the reins for
Yeah.
that side. And that's what I did with this record.
Ask because with all the technology that there is today, it's possible to keep pushing a song to try and make it better in a sense, right? You can push and then you lose the musicality of the song in a sense.
Yeah, you do. Sometimes, with if you spend too much time on a song, you ruin it.
Yeah.
There's certain songs which will just naturally want to just breathe and just happen. You know what I mean? That's it. And like I've wrote certain songs where it's basically, and I've spent a lot of time engineering and producing it, and I've ended up ruining them. And
Yeah.
I've had to tell producers to, and they do the same thing. They work spend too much time, and I just had to tell them, stop what you're doing, delete all that, and just go back to the original. That's it. And
Yeah.
because there's sometimes there's a certain really really cool essence about just even demos that has a vibe, it has an energy, it has an excitement. Um, so it's always it's you have to always kind of be listen to a song and go, okay, have I captured the vibe here? Does it, like, even like there's certain songs I have which the tempo, everything these days is perfect, but I like the tempo just moves around a little bit.
Yeah.
Gives the track a little bit of energy and stuff like that. So, and you have to always consider that and go, is this pulling me in? Is the track driving? Is got the energy? And it's a weird and wonderful thing. There's guys out there who love doing all engineering and mixing and producing and playing it all and stuff. So, um, whereas I like to step away and just get it done.
Yeah.
That's it.
But talking about energy, I saw on your Instagram a couple of days ago you had posted a Gary Moore, I think a cover of a Gary Moore song.
Yes.
What was that like? What was it like growing up in Ireland back then? I mean, Ireland's contribution to music has been huge, right? Whether it's Gary Moore, Thin Lizzy, U2, and there's so many more people. What was it like growing up for you in Ireland?
Um, my life's been a bit mad, really. Because I was this, people used to call me, this kind of child protege when I was a kid. Because I was,
Yeah,
I picked up the guitar very quickly. By the age 11, I think I was playing like Van Halen and stuff on television, and silly things like that. And um, so I've always just been kind of immersed in music, and very fortunate, because my folks, my parents, they very encouraged me a lot, within the music, which was great. Um, so that's all I've known. To be honest, most of the stuff I do work wise is all outside Ireland. To be honest, you know, because we have like the Gary Moores and Rory Gallagher, and we have all these great musicians. It's a weird thing though. They all move away out of Ireland for one reason, because there's not really a music scene for that style of music here. There's an Irish traditional scene which is huge, and there's an Irish country scene which is massive over here. Um, but and then everything else is just kind of real, that kind of cool indie kind of pop rock thing. That's it. But the blues rock thing, oh, because even Roy Gallagher, he moved away, and he his career by just getting out of Ireland, and Gary Moore did the same, and then Lizzie did to a certain extent as well. So all these bands, they do that. And not ditching Ireland and saying that it's a bad place. It's an amazing place. It's a great place to live and grow up. But for me, I was kind of thrown into, like when I was 16, I was doing, trade shows and stuff for Marshall, and I won the UK Guitarist of the Year and stuff like that. And then I was doing tours with the band called Sweet Savage, which were from
Yeah.
here. I was doing stuff for them and albums, and then I joined. There was a guy called Andrew Strong from the movie The Commitments a long time ago, and I toured with him for about 6 years, and yeah, and so I didn't really have a life when I was a kid. That my life was the guitar. I spent a lot of time as a kid just practicing. I remember I used to practice 9 hours a day sometimes, because that was the thing you had to do to get to a level that I wanted to be at. I wanted to be at that level of like Steve Vai or Satriani or not saying that I ever got there. I don't know. But I wanted to be at that sort of level, and that's just that the effort you have to put in, requires a little bit of sacrifice. So, but to be honest, Ireland's a great place, but musically for what I do, it's not the right place for me at all. But I like living here. I have a family here, and everything these days is getting on a plane anyway. So I'm
Yeah.
like, well, this makes no difference.
Yeah.
I just live wherever I want. And,
Yeah.
I think I'll move to Portugal next, though. It's warmer.
Yeah, it's a great place to live. I was talking to Ian Gillan, and he was telling me that he spends, I think, part of the year in Portugal.
Yeah.
I think the winters, the English winters, he tries to miss the winters and stay in Portugal.
Yeah, yeah. Ian moves with the climate. If it gets a bit cold in Portugal, he clears off somewhere else hot. He's funny.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah. No, Portugal's lovely. I've been there a few times. But yeah, no, Ian has a place out there, and a lot of other people I know have places out there too. So
yeah,
I might do someday. You never know.
yeah. But tell me, you did end up touring with Joe Satriani, right? Or did you open for him, or did you play for him?
Yeah, I opened for him. I did a UK tour with Joe years ago now. It was a long time ago. Um, but yeah, that was fun. Joe's a great guy, lovely, really, really nice man, and he's actually, he's one of these. He's an icon of the guitar world. There's, so it was a great to do. It was great gigs, and it's always nicer when the artist is a really lovely and down to earth, humble
Yeah.
person. And
Was
that's
that intimidating for you at all?
not really. Uh, I'm the sort of person, I don't really get nervous, or I don't get all starstruck on anybody. Even though Joe Satriani, when I was a kid, was my absolute hero, right? And I think there was a little bit of that 13-year-old kid kicking in there, going, "That's Joe Satriani," and I went, "Okay, gotta go." And then I just switched on to just me, have to go on, be the musician, do the gig and stuff, because it's always funny when you're standing there and you look across and go, "That's Joe Satriani." Shit. So but it was fine. But Joe's a lovely guy, and I had several chats with him and stuff on the road, and he's great. He's great guy. So yeah, it's yeah. No, I don't really get intimidated. Don't know. I'm just weird.
Yeah, no, because it's happened to me a couple of times. I was shooting for Steve Vai, and uh, I was at that point starstruck. I was on stage. I was on stage taking some pictures and stuff like that. And sometimes it's hard to focus on what you're supposed to do and not be overawed that you're.
Yeah, it's a funny thing. There's certain people who just, I don't know. Like the first time I met Gillan, he just has this presence around him. It's just
Yeah,
like don't mess with me presence. It's like, okay. But he's just sweetheart, when you get to know him, he's like, oh, he's just a lovely guy,
yeah,
but he just has this real commanding, just confident, I suppose. It's like if you meet anybody that's just confident in what they do, you will always feel a bit
yeah.
just around him. Yeah, I've never met Steve Vai, so I don't know. I may have to retract everything I just said if I meet Steve. You know? But I'm sure he's a lovely guy too, because I know uh, Dave Weiner, his other guitarist, so I
Yeah.
know him very well. So Dave just says, yeah, he's a sweetheart, he's a lovely
Yeah.
guy.
Yeah, they played in India. Dave was here with Steve, and they played in India.
Very good,
So,
very good.
yeah, that was quite something. So you also have a teaching gig, right? You teach guitar as well.
Yeah, it's been a blessing to be honest in the last couple of years over COVID. You know, I did it always before, in a little way, not too big. And really, when COVID kicked in, I was like, okay, because when it first happened, we were all just like, okay, that's it. We're careers are over. Music
Yeah.
is done. We're done for. So I was like, okay, I really need to. And I was very lucky that I had the teaching thing sort of set up. I do it online.
Mm-hmm.
I do one to one kind of private lessons, and then I have my Rockstar Club, which is basically an online virtual video kind of lesson. Which is all pre-recorded and stuff. So I have that, and it's all gone very well. As I said, it's kept me going and being able to keep going in the music industry over this whole kind of madness. Um, and I'm going to continue doing it because I like it. I like teaching people. I like sharing information with
Mm-hmm.
other musicians. Because at the end of the day, people come to learn stuff. People always question me about it, going, "Yeah, do you like teaching?" I'm like, well, think about it this way: it's me and another guitarist talking music. What's not to
What's not
like?
like? Yeah. Yeah.
Exactly. And I get paid for it. So it's like, if I could do it for free, I probably would, but no. So it's fun. I like, you know, teaching because it's all, I always find it's good for me as well. Cause, some players will come and ask me about certain theory things and I would have to think about it. And, cause maybe it's something I haven't looked at in a few years or like, so it's always kind of a refreshing kind of a thing with me as well on a certain theory or whatnot. So, um, yeah, I like it. It's enjoyable. If I didn't enjoy it, I wouldn't do it. I would
Yeah.
go do something else.
But it's amazing, right? How YouTube has sort of exploded with so many, guitar tutors and shortcuts and hacks and tips and all kinds of things, right? Some effective methods and some not so, but
Yeah,
it's
yeah. I'm glad you said that, not me. Yeah, there's some. Yeah, it is amazing the way of the internet and what's out there. As you said, there is some effective stuff out there, and not so effective stuff. But it's great. If you want to learn something, you just literally go into Google and type it in, and it's there. And then probably anything. I've done it for silly things around the house. How do I fix such and such? And it's
yeah,
there
it's
you go.
there.
That's how you do it. It's an amazing thing. Yeah, with the guitar, but it's like because I can relate to the guitar thing more with online stuff. It's always I always my advice for anybody going on YouTube and like, get stuff is just always be careful because there is a lot of misinformation on there when it comes to guitar theories and stuff. Hence why I teach, and a lot of people come to me and who are very frustrated about certain things, and I go, well, where did you get this information? They go, well, I got it off this somebody on YouTube, and I'm like, well, okay, and so sometimes it's wrong, and or it's so it's you always just got to be careful. There's a reason you come to a professional like me or somebody or whoever else it could be, so um but don't get me wrong, there's a lot of great stuff on there, and it's we would all be lost without it, I think, these days.
Absolutely.
it's,
Yeah.
it's the modern world.
Yeah. Great. Anyways, Simon, thank you so much for your time.
No problem. Thank you for having
You
me.
know, wonderful chatting with you. And, we'll wait for the new single to come out. The album comes out, you said, sometime in May. You have an EP out at some point as well.
Yes, that's right. Yeah, so it's all go, lots of stuff coming out.
Fabulous. All the best for the tour.
Thank you very
And
much.
I'll look you up if I do get to Ireland or if we run into each other at a festival or something. So,
Yeah, just give me a shout. Send me an email.
absolutely.
All right, man.
Cheers. Thank you,
Cheers.
Simon.
All
Thanks.
right. Thanks.
Bye.
Bye bye. Bye.
Bye.
That's it for this week's episode of Tales from the Road. Tales from the Road is brought to you by the concert photographer and moving pictures media. Don't forget to join us next week for another episode. If you like what you heard, subscribe to our podcast on iTunes, Spotify, or Google Play. Thank you for listening.